anybody would like to, heckle and raise issues about globalizing the Intifada, just do it after the session. You can harangue Jake as much as you want, just not on my dime, okay?
Thank you, Fareed.
So welcome. It's a huge pleasure to have an old friend, Jake Sullivan, here. Jake has worked in the last 2 Democratic administrations. He was President Biden's national security advisor. I think within the world of sort of, international relations, policy wonks, Jake is regarded as, I would say the prodigy who then became the superstar. Hillary Clinton once called him a once-in-a-generation talent, and I think that's basically right. And I think anyone who has worked with him has left with a feeling of really having been having been a privilege to work with him. You'll see in a second just how focused and analytic and super smart he is. So, Jake, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. My brother heard that comment about talent and was like, that's total BS. He's like, I'm in your generation, okay? So, anyway.
Well, what was it? Churchill said, "No man is a hero to his valet." Not that you're. I'm
going to tell my brother that. Yeah.
Yeah, that would add insult to injury to Tom. All right, we're going to start. Jake Sullivan, pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me.
What was your reaction to Donald Trump deciding to use American military power in the way he did over the last few days?
Well, first, we could see this building up, in part because over the course of 2024, Iran was degraded to its weakest point since the Iranian Revolution in 1979. It had lost its main proxy, Hezbollah. It had lost its main client state, Assad, Syria. It had lost its air defenses. And twice in 2024, it tried to attack Israel directly with missiles. And twice, with the support and direct help of the United States, Israel rendered those attacks totally ineffective. So Iran was basically exposed, which created the possibility, in my view, for one of 2 outcomes. Either a military strike that Iran couldn't really respond to, or a deal that could lock in Iran for the long term and put a box and a lid on its nuclear program. My main reaction coming out of these strikes is the question that gets asked so often in foreign policy. Okay, then what? And the then what for me is that sitting here today, after American military pilots conducted an operation with skill and effectiveness, we still need a deal. Because Iran still has, it appears, stockpiles of enriched uranium, still has centrifuge capacity, even if the installed centrifuge capacity has been destroyed or damaged or who knows what, and still has know-how, and therefore still has the possibility of reconstituting its program. And let me add also, Iran right now is not allowing the International Atomic Energy Agency to go to any of these sites. So the verification we had before, or we'd have under a deal, we don't currently have. So I would say that even though right now you can clearly look at the Iranian nuclear program and see it's been set back, the threat of the Iranian nuclear program has not been comprehensively dealt with and can only be comprehensively dealt with if we can get a long-term deal that locks Iran's nuclear program in a box so that they can never get a nuclear weapon.
There's a lot to unpack there, so I want to start with what you said. Wouldn't it be fair to say that we were all surprised by how weak Iran and its proxies were? And I mean by all, even the Israelis, I think, were surprised when they first went after Hezbollah. And remember, they went after Hezbollah because their pagers were beginning to get exposed because of a software update. And so they decided, okay, let's go. And Hezbollah collapses. And then they strike Iran, and Iran has, as you said, barely any ability to strike back. They go after Syria, and the Syrian regime collapses for many reasons. It feels like this was this something that all of us didn't realize just how weak and dysfunctional this axis of resistance that Iran had built up was.
You know, one thing that I've reflected on over the course of my 4 years as National Security Advisor is there's been more than one instance where I think we've overestimated the military capacity of our adversaries.
Soviet Union, Saddam Hussein.
Russia,
Right.
just before Ukraine. Right? We thought Kyiv had fallen a week because of the Russian military juggernaut, and Russia was exposed as having basically a corrupt and ineffectual army. And it certainly didn't hurt that you had a very brave Ukrainian army standing athwart them to stop them from taking Kyiv and taking over Ukraine. And yes, I think the view from across the professional class of national security decision makers, including intelligence and uniformed military professionals, was that Iran and its proxies had more juice than it turns out that they had. But it was pretty apparent by October of last year, when Hezbollah essentially had to sue for peace with Israel, and when Iran didn't even respond to Israel striking and taking out its air defenses and proclaiming that to the world, that Iran was in a very weakened state. And in fact, you wrote a column a few weeks after that, late last year or early this year, basically saying, hey, look at America's adversaries, including Iran. They are in a very weakened state. So I'm less surprised in the short term, just of what happened over the last 2 weeks. But over the stretch of it, it definitely is a different level of capacity than we had factored in when we were making our decisions over the course of multiple administrations, including, frankly, the Trump administration the first time around.
Talk to me about Bibi Netanyahu. This is a guy you dealt with personally, constantly. It feels to me like people used to always say, he's very canny, very wily, but he's cautious. He doesn't take crazy risks. The reporting I have is that the IDF initially wanted to go north to Hezbollah after the October 7th attacks. Bibi was cautious. What do you think happened? Because he is really, he took a very big gamble here, that he was going to go after all these forces and that they were all going to collapse. What changed his calculus, you think?
I think he looked at the picture of what unfolded last year over 2024. Hezbollah could no longer effectively threaten Israeli cities. Iran was reeling from the loss of Assad. And then when Iran tried to throw its best punches at Israel, with critical aid, direct military support from the United States, basically defeated those attacks. And then Israel was able to reach out and touch Iran quite effectively. So I think he looked at all of that. And then I think there was a second factor, which is that over the course of several years, the military and intelligence enterprise in Israel has been less enthusiastic about the military option than some of the political types. That changed last year. So there was a chorus of voices from across his national security establishment saying, this is something we can do and we should do. And that was true from the IDF, it was true from the Mossad, it was true from others, and I think that had an impact on him as well. But one thing I will say is Israel has shown time and time again under Prime Minister Netanyahu, they can conduct military operations with effectiveness, indeed with panache, as they have done in Lebanon and in Iran. But they also sometimes have difficulty connecting those military actions to a clear strategic endgame that is sustainable. And I am worried in the Iran case, as I am gravely alarmed in the Gaza case, that they are not aiming towards a clear and sustainable endgame. And I think that's why U.S. policy has to be clear-eyed. We've seen what's happened over the last 12 days. Now we need to turn to getting a diplomatic solution that can sustain for the long term. And Israel may not want to go along with that, but I think President Trump would be right to press for that.
So let me ask you very simply, on the basis of having looked at this intelligence very carefully over the last 4 years, could Iran build nuclear weapons on a relatively fast timeline underground over the next year?
So I'm going to start with the caveat, because any good intelligence person will always start with the caveat. And my caveat is that we still need to get the full battle damage assessment of what happened. And we need it to be unfiltered from political interference. We just need the straight dope from the American intelligence community and, frankly, from the Israeli intelligence community. But based on what I've seen so far, it is probable that Iran still retains on its territory some stockpiles of enriched uranium, still retains centrifuges and the capacity to build more of them, Much of that was destroyed, but probably not all of it, and still retains the know-how. So if they woke up tomorrow and said, we are going for it, it's not implausible to me that a crash military program could be conducted in as little as a year. I've heard from some Israelis who say 2 or 3 years. You saw this one DAA report that said as short as 6 months. But it's going to be in that zone if they went for it. Now, what the Israelis would say is they won't. They won't go for it because now they've been so rocked back on their heels, they know that if they try, we'll come back. But the problem is that will leave us in a weird limbo where Iran has this capability and maybe they go deep underground and try to do it. And the answer may have to be just constant, persistent military strikes to ensure they don't do it. That is not the best outcome. The best outcome, as I've said, would be a deal. And I'll make one more point. We tend to hold the outcome of military action to a much lower standard than the outcome of a diplomatic negotiation. What do I mean by that? If I came to you and said, Fareed, I've got a deal with the Iranians. They're not going to build a nuclear weapon. And you said to me, well, did you get all their enriched uranium? I said, no, I think it's buried, but I'm not sure. Well, did you get all their centrifuges? No, not all of them. Are the inspectors there? Not right now, but hopefully we'll get them back. That's the current situation. If I told you that was the deal we had struck with the Iranians, you'd say it's a terrible deal. And so, from my perspective, we need to make sure we keep our eye on the prize, which is a long-term cutoff of any pathway to a nuclear weapon in Iran. And I continue to believe that that will require a diplomatic agreement that resolves all of those questions that currently don't have completely decisive answers.
What do you think President Trump's role in it going forward should be?